Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on a video of mine. I just want to thank you guys so much for the support on the channel. If you haven't checked out the Richard Hatch video that should have dropped yesterday, uh, go and do that. It's very in-depth video about Richard Hatch, and I think you guys are going to like it. Um, Today, our topic is very simple. I'm going to go over what I think are the best 40 players, and this is the best player from each season, meaning season one is the best player from season one, and so on all the way through season 40. So get your popcorn ready, get whatever you want to eat ready, because we're about to get into this really quickly. Season one, Richard Hatch. I think Sue's the closest that we can get to an honorable mention. I think Richard Hatch was the next easiest one. I think maybe Rudy or Sue is maybe honorable mentions, but we Richard Hatch. You have the masterful um, final three immunity challenge throw, which basically guaranteed him the win as long as Kelly won the challenge. You have the um, starting the first alliance. You have him heading the first alliance. You have him using Sean's alphabet strategy to take out the other players. Shall I go on? Season two, Tina. So season two, I mean, for me, it was between Colby and Tina, obviously. And I think Tina, because in the end, Tina won against Colby. I think they played a very similar game. It's just that Tina um, was more focused on winning than Colby was, inside the game. And for that, I put Tina over Colby. Season three, Lex. I think this is because if Lex wins that last challenge, he goes to the end. If Ethan wins that last challenge, Lex goes to the end. And even if um, the lady that had won the last challenge had won like she did, she was very close to picking him. So I feel like he had the most past the end. He also seemed like he had more strategical control over the game than Ethan. Season four, it's between Kathy and Vesepia, and I feel like Kathy had been in control for more of the game than Vesepia did. But Kathy did not go into the merge down in numbers. She just went into the merge on the bottom of her alliance with Pascal and Nalia, and she headed the first flip ever, along with Pascal and Nalia. I feel like she was um, if she could have beaten anybody in that post merge, in my opinion, except for Pascal. And I feel like that's very impressive. And I feel like she's one Vesepia and Nilia deal away from being taken to the end and getting the win. Season five. This is the only season that I haven't seen. I'm gonna guess Brian because I've heard that he was dominant, and I heard that no one else even came close. Moving on, season six. Rob Cesternino. He was one immunity challenge away from the end with his flipping back and forth, but doing it in a way that they never just turned on him, and that he didn't really lose jury votes because the people he wasn't too much of an a hole like Johnny Fairplay, where the people just where like the people like just generally didn't like him. But even then, Fairplay, as we'll talk about in a second, actually did well as well. Moving on, season seven, Fairplay. Fairplay was very on television he was just like in the public perception he was just like, but on the island, Fairplay could have beaten at least half of the people in the post jury phase. I think he could not have beat Sandra. I don't think he could have beat Dare. He probably could be. I really think it's Sandra and Rupert are the only two people that he could not have beaten 110,000%. I think everybody else, Fairplay has a really good chance of. On top of that, he had control over the game for most of the game. Again, doing what Rob did, flipping back and forth. He did it with Burton, and for me, like as far as player goes, because of their post merge gameplay, it goes between Fairplay and Burton. And although Burton has the edge in the fact that Burton probably wins in a final two of Burton and Fairplay, I think that Fairplay has the edge in the fact that he never got voted out. Moving on, season eight, we have Rob Mariano, Boston Rob. This one goes without saying. He did the best in challenges. He beat or what's it called? He had control over every single vote in the entire game. He never got blindsided. I think his most masterful move was definitely at the final five. making a fight happen between Tom and Rupert, which caused them to never turn and target him. And then from there, flipping Kelly at Final Four. I feel like those were really good moves, and those were the height of his game for sure. I feel like this is his overall best strategical game, but not his obviously not his overall best game because he didn't win. Season 9. These are where it starts to get difficult. I feel like the first 8 are very simple. You have Richard, Tina, Lex, Kathy, Brian, Rob, Fairplay, Rob. You know what I mean? But then season 9, for me, it came down to Chris or Amy. I think Amy would have won if she didn't target Eliza, or if she had targeted Eliza one vote later, but instead she didn't, causing Eliza not to flip, which instead which allowed Chris to grab Eliza as a number and then take Scout and Twyla. Where if she had kept Eliza in her group and they all voted for strong, they would have voted on him or Twyla or Scout. So at this point, I feel like from there they vote out Eliza, and then they vote out, and then her, Julie, and Scout vote out Twyla. No, sorry, her, Julie, and Leanne vote out Twyla and Scout, leaving us with a final 3 of Leanne, Amy, and Julia. And then from there, I feel like Amy probably wins, and you have Amy taking Leanne to the end and beating Leanne in a 5-2 vote with 2 people. With I could see Julie voting for Leanne, and maybe Scout. Yeah, Scout. So I think in the end, those are the two. Those are the reasons why, for me, Amy plays the most dominant game, whereas Chris has to rely on them not targeting him at Final 7 and instead targeting Eliza so that he can then pull in Eliza. So I feel like that puts Chris not in the top spot for Vanuatu. Season 10, we have Tom. I was grappling between Tom and Ian for this one. I feel like in the end, although Tom did rely on challenges, he really didn't need them. He was only vulnerable at 3 parts in the game, but even if he had been vulnerable at certain parts in the game, it really wouldn't have mattered, especially early merge. But later on, he may have needed a couple of those, but that's also part of the game. So for me, it's okay. Season 11, Rafe. He was. I still think that even if he had not let Danny out of her promise, she still would have taken Stephanie and betrayed him. He claims that he did that to save Danny face on like television, like as far as Danny looking like a liar by betraying him, because he knew that she wouldn't take him. But honestly, I think she would have taken what's her face? She would have taken Stephanie anyways, and so I feel like the thing about Wraith is that his game is perfect, and in the end, he gets himself to a spot where either he or Stephanie win. They're taking each other, and in the end, they both are. In the end, in both those scenarios, they end up in a final 2 where Rafe easily wins, probably sweeping the jury. Moving on, we have Aris at 12. Sorry about that, y'all. My dog was barking very loudly. Continuing on, we have at season 12, Panama, we have Aris. For this one, it was between Aris and Sari because Terry. I feel like Terry had to rely on a challenge at the end had to rely on winning challenges, which I don't respect that much when you have to go on a challenge streak throughout the entire game because he never really had control over the game. For me, Aris gets 12, season 12 as the most powerful player because of the fact that Aris beats anybody except for Terry at the end. And I think that's really powerful because nobody can beat Terry. So really he beats, anybody except for Terry. But, taking Terry out, he beats literally anyone, including Sari, because what it ends up being is that Courtney's the swing vote. When you really get the numbers down, Courtney is the swing vote, and she was closer with Aris than she was with Sari. And so I feel like if Aris beats everybody, how can you not give it to Aris? Plus, Aris had just as much control as Sari did. And I feel like for that reason, Aris takes season 12. Season 13, Cookouts. This one's pretty easy. I had Yule. I don't really knock him for the fact that he got down in numbers. He won the challenges in the pre-merge in the late pre-merge when he had to, and I think that overall he had more control over the game than Ozzy did, and it's really between him and Ozzy. I did consider Parvati for the fact that if Penner had not flipped at the merge, Parvati would have won the game because once they eliminated the I-24, then Penner would have gone, and then probably so now it's what Nate, Adam, Parvati, and Candace. I think at this point Candace probably goes, and then it's a Adam, Nate, and Parvati final three where everybody takes Parvati, and obviously she takes herself. I feel like from there Parvati wins the game easily in Cook Islands, and she was set up to win the game easily in Cook Islands if Penner had not flipped at the merge. But in the end, I do think Yule is the person who was more powerful because of the fact that Penner probably was going to flip the merge, and the fact that he was the one that in fact made him flip at the merge, and convinced him not to pull a sly win on him, where he could have had the alliance vote for Nate, and then his alliance vote for Yule, and then he could have voted with his own alliance, put 5 votes on Yule, made Yule waste the super idol, had Nate go home and flush the idol while still having the majority. And I feel like because Yule prevented Jonathan from doing that, he is at the top, in my opinion, for that season. Season 14, this is really easy. It's Earl. It's between Yaman and Earl for me. And the fact that Earl beats Yaman at the end settles it for me. Moving on, 15, Todd. Again, this is similar to Fiji, where although there are there are challengers along the way, and Todd takes them all out. He takes out John Robert. He takes out James. He takes out Aaron pre-merge. I feel like it's just it's or he doesn't take out Aaron pre-merge, but all of his threats to him seem to just go away, and most of them are because of him, and also because it's really him or Amanda, and he beats Amanda at the end because Amanda does not know how to do a final tribal council, and he had a great final tribal council. Moving on, Parvati for season 16. This is her first time being on this list. Um, I will give an honorable mention to Sari because Sari was one challenge away from winning the game, because if she had gotten to final two against anybody in that post merge, other than Ozzy, probably even Ozzy, I don't. It's really maybe not Ozzy, but the other 9 people in that post merge. If she had gotten to the end with, she would have beat any of them, even if it was a final three. But I think overall, Parvati, because of the fact that Sari relied on her challenge game to get her through that last challenge, which was a fatal mistake for her. Parvati takes it because Parvati beats anyone but Sari and Ozzy. So I feel like for that reason, and because Parvati overall had more control, Parvati takes this season. Season 17, I have Maddie for this season. You could argue Marcus, even though he went out so early in the merge, because of the fact that if that swap, or if that like splitting the merge people up into 2 tribes, or like 2 teams things that didn't happen, where they each voted out a person, if that hadn't happened, Marcus, or sorry, where one of them who loses the challenge and votes out a person, Marcus would have easily steamrolled this season, if the yellow tribe in Gabon had stayed together, and been able to stay together, because it would have been him, Susie, Randy, Bob, and Corinne. And wait, no, not him, Susie, him, Corinne, Charlie, Bob, and him, Randy, Corinne, Charlie, Bob. Yeah, yeah. And then from here, Bob probably gets voted out, and then Randy at 4, and that leaves him with a final trial against Charlie and Corinne, where he absolutely dominates. Charlie probably getting a few votes, Marcus getting the rest. And I feel like from that perspective, I think Marcus has an argument, but I feel like because Marcus did not prepare for another swap like that, and he anticipated a merge too early, Maddie is the second best option for there, and that's why Maddie takes season 17. Season 18, JT, come on. Come on. He beats anybody in the entire cast. Not post-Mert, the entire cast. And he glides to the end where he beats his closest ally who is more strategic than him because he's just had the better social interactions with people, and people just liked him. He had a very good social game. He had a very good strategical ally, and he had a good enough physical game, but he really didn't even need one. JT's very, very easy. Probably the biggest lock on this entire list. Season 19, Russell. There's no, you can't say anyone from the Gulu tribe, and that leaves the 444. You can't say Mick. You can't really say Jason. So it's really Natalie or Russell, and I couldn't live myself putting Natalie White at the best player for Samoa because she wasn't the best player in Samoa. If you watch the season, she was not, and that leaves Russell. I'm not saying whatever Russell deserved. I'm not like that. Whatever. I'm just saying the best player in Samoa was easily Russell. He was on a different level than the rest of them. Heroes versus villains. This is the first time that we are going to see somebody twice on this list. It is not the last time. Season 20, we have Parvati. For me, this one was tough. I was debating maybe Jerry because if she had gotten to the end with and taken Sandra's spot, she would have done the same thing. But then I thought, well, no. Well, then why don't I just say Sandra? But then it's like Sandra didn't do anything this season, and that left Russell or Parvati because it wasn't any of the heroes for sure. Or Danielle, I guess, but Danielle got what's it called, blindsided, and that led me to pick Parvati because if Russell hadn't blindsided Danielle and Parvati got to the end with who she wanted to get to the end with, which was Danielle herself, Parvati, and then Russell, she would have taken that final three easily because no one was voting for Danielle, no one was voting for Russell, and that leaves the votes for her. But because she got to the end with it, basically after Danielle got blindsided, her game was over, and her best shot was to go to the end with maybe Jerry instead of Sandra. But even then, I think Jerry just does what Sandra did in a less impressive way, and for that reason, Parvati takes my vote because of the fact that if she had kept Danielle and she gets an easy win with the people who wanted to take her to the end, which were Danielle and Russell. Moving on, we have season 21. I have Chase for this one. I feel like Chase was the most strategically elusive person on the season. I would say Sash was pretty strategically elusive, but he had no social likability. Holly was, again, another strategical person, but she was always going to get cut at 4. Fabio won the season, but Fabio's Fabio. Brenda got taken off too early. Nayaka quit the game. I mean, there isn't much to choose from here. Jane is Jane. Marty got taken out too early. Again, it's just not much to choose here. Season 22, Rob. I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not even going to waste my breath. I have plenty of years on this earth where I can use that breath for much more beneficial things and explain to you why Rob Mariano was the best player on season 22. Moving on. Season 23, Coach. I think Coach is a good, even a decent final tribal away from winning the game. I feel like he went into tribal with the votes and lost them because he tried to do the whole, religion. I never lied in the game, this and that. He lost Brandon's vote, and he lost. Is his name Keith? No, not Keith. He lost Brandon's vote, and he lost the country dude's vote, the Cowboys vote with the hat. I forget his name. He lost his vote in tribal because of the way that he talked to them. He got to the end with people that he wanted to get to the end with, and he had full control over the game more than Sophie, and he had the votes going in to beat Sophie. It's just he lost them himself, and for that reason, I will give him best player because he made one critical mistake, and that was having a bad final tribal council. Season 24, Kim. This is another one just like Rob. I don't need to explain this. I'm not even going to waste my breath. Plenty of other people have explained this thoroughly in other videos. Look it up if you want to see them. Season 25, and Malcolm. Malcolm's similar to Sari in the fact that he's just one challenge away. And I feel like the reason why Sari, wasn't on for that season was because unlike Sari, Malcolm actually did have a shot at the last immunity challenge more than Suri did. Malcolm actually is good at challenges, and it's just he gets the wrong challenge for his competition, archetype physical person. He got the wrong challenge for his the type of physical player that he is, and he ends up just not winning that challenge. But from all accounts, he beats anyone post merge, literally anybody post merge, including Jonathan Penner, and for that reason, he will take the title for the season of best player. Season 26, Cochran. This is another one of these kind of obvious ones. Cochran had, I think it's either Cochran or Dawn. Um, you could say Andrea, but Andrea was also overplaying her hand and would have gotten blindsided eventually because she was too much of a threat. Same thing with Brenda, and that leaves Dawn or Cochran, and Cochran beat Dawn. That's it. That's all it is to it. Season 27, Tyson. Tyson, he formed a bond with Jervis immediately that he knew Jervis would not break. He was able to keep Monica from flipping, which I honestly think is his best move, is keeping Monica from flipping on him at both final 7, 6, and 5, but especially 4 and 5, because Monica could have flipped on him and voted out Jervis, and then he would have had to win that last challenge. Whereas he didn't even have to win his challenges because he had his 3 locked in from about the middle of the merge, and he also blindsided 4 people in a row who were his targets in Aris, Fetus, Tina, and Katie. 28, Tony. I can only Spencer was on the bottom of the whole game. Tasha didn't have much going for her strategically. Cass was never winning the game. Cass doesn't win against Morgan. Cass doesn't win against anybody. Um, maybe Wu, but Wu's Wu. He has no strategical. He took Tony to the end. I think just overall, I don't even need to start getting into why. I feel like it's just there isn't much competition that's on the level of Tony. Moving on for season 29, I actually have John from the John and Jacqueline couple. I feel like the reason why this is the case is because other than Jeremy, John beats anybody in the post merge, including Natalie. I personally think, and for that reason, I feel like he wins as far as the best player. I think his girlfriend even beats Missy and Baylor. As well as some of the guys on the jury as well. I feel like John had that dude contingency on the jury locked up, but he also had some girl votes as well, locked up as well. Continuing on, we have season 30. I feel like Rodney was beating Mike in the immunity challenge at Final Four at Final Four or 5 away from winning that game. I feel like if Rodney had taken Mike's spot at the final travel against anyone in the final, anyone just in general in the post merge, really, he beats them. And for that reason, I feel like Rodney wins. Season 31, Jeremy. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Jeremy had so many passes at the end. People wanted to. He had convinced Spencer and Tasha that they should take him to the end. And he won unanimously. He was able to relate to the jury. He found idols, but he really didn't need them. And he made sure his allies put him first before anybody else in the game, and he had a lot of people that would call Jeremy their number ones. Season 32, this one was tough. I actually don't think there's a lot of good players in this season. When you look at it, okay, so Julia, no, Scott, not really, Jason, not really. Ty, he was never going to win a final tribal because of his communication skills. Sydney, the Scott and Julia and Jason contingency on the jury was never going to vote for her, and for that reason, she had no shot at winning. Joe, come on. And so I feel like that leaves Aubrey and Michelle as the only two that you can really pick from this. And I'm going to go with Aubrey. Not that I think Michelle didn't deserve to win. I'm just saying Aubrey, I think overall had a more impressive game. with the Debbie vote and the Julia vote. And I feel like Michelle was kind of stringed along strategically, although I think Michelle was stronger socially and related more to the people in the game than Aubrey ever could. Season 33, I think this one is going to go to Zeke. I feel like he played the most aggressively, although I don't see many ways that he can get to the end because of how big of a threat he was. But I think in the time that he was in the game, he was a completely different caliber of player than anyone on the season, other than maybe Michaela. But even then, I don't think Michaela really had a chance against Zeke. Season 34, Brad. I say this because as we saw in the reunion, Brad was taking the wrong person to Final Tribal away from win the game. If he had taken Ty with him and Brad or not in Brad and Troyzan, then as we saw, him and Ty would have tied. Troyzan would have picked him, which just shows his social bonds that he improved from the first time that he played. And overall, I think he had just as much control as Sarah. I just feel like Sarah had less people that she could beat at the end, whereas in Brad could have beaten a lot of people at the end. Season 35, Chrissy. This one's also tough. I feel like at first I was going to pick Ben, but it's hard to respect like the game that was saved by constant idle plays that in the end, started to get cheesy. And then of course, the forced fire making that the people in the game were not notified of before, hand that, it was going to happen. And I think that really leaves Chrissy, Ryan, or Devin, because those are the people who really ran the game and who got deep enough in the game to be considered. I feel like Ryan was never going to win the game, and therefore I cannot see Ryan winning. And I can't put Ryan there. And it's between Devin and Chrissy. And I feel like Chrissy wins a jury vote against Devin and had more strategical prowess than Devin did. She also was physically stronger than Devin was, and they pretty much had equal social games. So I feel like for that reason, she takes it over Devin. Season 36, Dom. This one's pretty simple. It's either Wendell or Dom. And at first I was saying Wendell because he formed that bomb with Laurel and was able to get half the jury. So he knew that he had a path to the end, and he was able to form it like perfectly, and he was able to keep a control with a Dom throughout the merge. But the main difference maker was the fact that Dom was able to put Wendell in a spot where if Wendell had lost fire, Dom would have won, and also that Dom had more to say about the Chris Noble boot in the merge, and Dom also had more advantages and overall probably more power over what went on post merge in that season. 37, 38. I'm actually doing a rewatch of both seasons at once with different people in my family, so I cannot comment on those right now, just because one, I don't want them to overhear me, but more importantly, I feel like I need to finish them because I'm right in the middle, so I feel like I'm kind of biased towards people that are still in the game that I know are going out, towards the merge. So I'll get back to you guys on that one. Season 39, Tommy. I feel like the reason that it's Tommy is because Tommy beats. I don't think Tommy wins against Lauren personally. I think Tommy beats Janet. I think Tommy beats Elaine. I think yeah. I think Tommy beats Missy. I think Tommy beats Aaron. I think Tommy beats anybody except Lauren, his closest ally. Which I guess you can put on Tommy, but I feel like the fact that Tommy was able to have such a dominant win without advantages or challenge wins or I don't know, the idols. I think is very impressive, and it's pretty obvious who ran that season. It was him and Lauren, and I feel like because Lauren knew that she wasn't going to beat people in fire who she was getting to the end with, whereas in Tommy was smart enough that if he didn't feel comfortable, he went to Nora and campaigned to to say that he was not going to be able to beat Dean, and therefore he has a stronger game than Lauren. And for me personally, that takes 39. Season 40, last but not least, we have our second two-timer on this list. We have Tony. Tony dominates this game from merge on, and he was able to, and for him, that was the game that he personally needed to play. Someone like Adam didn't play that game and didn't need to play that game, but someone like Tony needed to play that game, because if he had played as dominant as he did after the merge, he would have gotten voted out. I think his only flaw is the fact that if Denise puts her vote to Tony, he goes home. When Denise plays the idol, and the fact that he didn't have a strong enough bond with Sandra, that she did that move, being okay with Tony going home, and for that reason, I put Tony at the top of season 40. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot that you guys can even click on one video, let alone all these videos. I don't know why you want to hear me talk, but I will continue to do so. 85% of you guys aren't subscribed. Let's change that right now. It's free and it's easy. And if that's all, thanks for watching.